Polls have opened in Venezuela's National Assembly election. People began lining up at polling stations well before the start of voting at 6 a.m. local time. Just under 100,000 officials presided over polling stations nationwide, including 130 international electoral monitors. As many as 19 million registered voters are expected to cast ballots to elect 167 parliamentary members. The elections has been predicted to be one of the tightest in years. The ruling Socialist Party PSUV has vowed to continue their progressive social and economic policies if it holds on to the majority. The right-wing MUD opposition coalition has said they will seek to oust President Nicolas Maduro if they win the majority. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro met with former heads of states from Spain, Colombia, Bolivia, and Costa Rica, who will serve as electoral observers. The meeting took place ahead of the beginning of elections this morning in Venezuela. Former Spanish Prime Minister José Luis Zapatero, former Colombian President Andrés Pastrana, former Bolivian President Jorge Quiroga, and former Costa Rican President Laura Chinchilla all met personally with Maduro. Rodríguez Zapatero, the former Socialist Prime Minister of Spain, addresses concerns that the two countries have had a rocky relationship, particularly under Spain's current center-right Prime Minister Mariano Rajoy. Zapatero told journalists that he believes Caracas and Madrid want to improve bilateral relations, while Quiroga explained why his group came to monitor the vote.
We came hoping that this would be a democratic, peaceful exercise, and after the elections, there would be harmony among Venezuelans.
3 European priests killed by Peru's Maoist Shining Path rebel group in 1991 have been beatified in Peru. The ceremony took place in Chimbote in front of tens of thousands of people who filled a local stadium to watch the country's first beatification. The 3 priests, known as the Martyrs of Chimbote, are Zbigniew Starkowski, Michael Tomasek, and Alessandro Dordi. Cardinal Angelo Almato solemnly read the ceremony in Latin. Pope Benedict XVI allowed beatification to take place outside the Vatican. Beatification is a step before sainthood. The priests would have to have a miracle attributed to their intercession in order to become saints.
Through our apostolic authorities, we concede that the Venerable Servants of God, Michael Tomasek, Zbigniew Starkowski, professed priest of the Friars Minor Conventual Order, and Alessandro Dordi, diocesan priest, faithful, proven in charity and evangelic justice, who offered their lives out of love for their brothers, will now be called beatified.
Israel has condemned as scandalous a suggestion by the Swedish foreign minister, according to which its forces has unlawfully killed Palestinians involved in a surge of street violence. The Swedish foreign minister Margot Wallström denounced to her country's lawmakers the almost daily violence between Israelis and Palestinians. She urged Israel to avoid overkill, as the Jewish state's security forces have killed 102 Palestinians since October 1st. Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu condemned the comments and said he would meet with his foreign minister officials to decide a sharp response to Wallström's comment.
I condemn the statements, the scandalous statements, made by the Foreign Minister of Sweden. It seems she expects Israel's citizens to bare their throats to those trying to stab them.
Here in the borough of Xochimilco, Mexico City, residents celebrate the historic moment when Mexican revolutionaries Emiliano Zapata and Pancho Villa united to further a social revolution for the working and peasant classes. 101 years later, the grandchildren of Zapata say the struggle for democracy and economic equality is still very much needed.
They only look for themselves. They don't think of the people. That is why people do not believe in political parties. They don't believe in the politicians, because we have had enough of this demagogy.
Although Zapata's and the peasants' demand of land and liberty was semi-formalized in Mexico's communal ejido land redistribution, since the 1980s, a shift from nationalist policies to neoliberal ones has seen the privatization of the system. Zapata's grandson believes that farm workers need to continue to unite and act.
Not just words and nothing but words, but rather forming consciousness, forming the consciousness of farm workers and ejidatarios so that they unite and work together.
And for these residents or original peoples of Xochimilco, the struggle does continue. They march against what they say is a mega project commercial center that was imposed in their communities without prior consultation.
The constitutional law under 2 states that any kind of major project that is planned to be carried out in this community requires a prior consultation with us first. However, they were given permission to build this Walmart, Soriana department store, and Sam's Club.
According to the residents, the 30,000 square meter project that broke ground on community rural land does not actually have the required permits and environmental impact statements. They say the project poses a threat to their way of life, natural resources, and cultural identity.
It disrupts the lives in our communities because it will impose a change on the community's nature that has its own traditions, and so it will come and disposes us from those ideas that characterize us as original people. But the reality is that we are aware of this, and a large part of the population is ready to fight back.
And while these community residents fight this project, they also say they stand in solidarity with other indigenous communities that fight other so-called mega projects that they fear in the end will dispossess them of their territory. Clayton Cantelo Sur, Mexico City.
London police are calling a knife attack as a terrorist incident. On Saturday, a knife-wielding man attacked and injured 3 people at the London metro station before being put under control and arrested. The most seriously injured man sustained no threatening injuries, sources told BBC. Commander Richard Walton, head of London Police Counter-Terror Unit, said in press statement that they are treating this attack as a terrorist incident. He called on the public to remain calm, but alert and vigilant. He also said the threat from terrorism remains high. Rescue workers in Azerbaijan continue operations at an oil rig that caught fire, killing at least 1 person. 30 more are still missing. 32 other oil rig workers have been safely evacuated, but as time went by and winds got stronger, hopes of finding more survivors began to fade. The state energy company, SOCAR, released a statement saying a severe storm was hampering rescue efforts at the Ginashli oil field in the Caspian Sea.
Facts that have marked the course of history. Productions designed in the English language and made for the English-speaking world. This is Documentary. Watch it on telesur.net/English. Telesur, wherever the news, you'll be there.